The presentation of the Silver Linings Playbook by Delaney Walker, Melanie Ralden, and Haley Tincher. Pat is the main character in Silver Linings Playbook who suffers from bipolar disorder with severe mood swings, which he is not diagnosed with until adulthood. In the film, he discovers his wife's affair, which pushed him to react aggressively and put him in a mental health facility. From there, the story follows his diagnosis, growth, and reconciliation in his life with bipolar disorder. The film has an environment in which they try to normalize mental illness the best they can to shed some light on this topic. His family struggles to deal with his illness but works to understand and help him through it. Pat is new to his diagnosis in the film, so he finds a way through it. We see the stages of that firsthand. Bipolar disorder with mood swings is also known as manic depression. This is a mental illness in which a person can experience extremely elevated moods called mania, episodes of depression, and is caused by altered brain structure, environmental factors, and genetics. Looking at the cultural context, we know that he did not get diagnosed early as a child because it was looked down upon and he was not given much attention from his father because he was different. It was not until he was an adult that he discovered his illness and got treated. Pat went to a therapist in the film, and his diagnosis was that he needed to give Tiffany a chance to come into his life and also try to control his emotions, especially when hearing his wedding song. This disorder is not diagnosed in all cultures because people don't want to admit that their loved ones can have a mental illness. They often neglect the news. Not all cultures have enough experience or resources to diagnose a mental illness, which means that people are frightened to go through this because they do not know what awaits for them. One stigma associated with bipolar disorder is the skewed thinking that those with the disorder are acting out to seek attention. Another stigma could be that people with the bipolar disorder could be categorized as crazy and not treated properly. Society can also perceive a person with bipolar disorder as dangerous and fear them, unfairly excluding them from society. Pat has mood swings and manic episodes. Pat had a mood swing when he was looking for his wedding video. This scene starts with him coming home from dinner fine, but then he gets overtaken by the urge to find this video that he hits his parents and destroys his house looking for it. During his manic episode, Pat finds his wife cheating on him, which triggers this episode where he almost beats the man to death in hysteria. One symptom Pat never displays is euphoria, or an exaggerated sense of well-being. Instead, he always seems down and hindered by his illness and obsession with his ex-wife. The treatment plan would be to go to therapy and work on accepting himself. He needs to separate himself from Nikki, his wife, and follow his therapist's advice. He also needs to go to a support group like the one at the mental hospital. His treatment is good for his disorder because separating himself from people that trigger the harmful symptoms of his disease helps his mental health. Group therapy is also beneficial for bipolar disorders because it helps with the loneliness associated with the disorder. We think that this is an ethical treatment plan that would help him. Nikki coming back into his life would be a barrier for success in his treatment. If he went back to her, it would only make things worse because he would continue to be obsessed with her and be driven to do harmful things. Another barrier that might prevent Pat from receiving treatment is his denial and needing mental help. At first, he refuses to take his prescribed medication or listen to the advice given by the therapist. Yes, the film does a good job portraying his disorder because all of his actions are symptoms that can be described for a person who suffers from bipolar disorder. The way his family reacts to his actions are a good, real-life example of the effects that this disorder has on everyone involved. Pat gets emotional talking about hating his illness, which is an accurate representation of the struggle real people have dealing with this disorder. This film made us understand that people with mental illnesses are no different than anyone else and helps us see their humanity. They're just trying to figure out things like everyone else, and they don't want to struggle with their disorder any more than you or I would.